And welcome back, folks. This is US Home Talk, and we're live. We are live every Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time. Jason Walgrave here with Walgrave Real Estate Group and the Minnesota Real Estate Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We got the great Marcus Walgrave with Hague Realtors out of the great Sioux Empire market in South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. We've got Evan Little, our brilliant producer, also insurance guru. Evan's also got a really good sense of humor. He tolerates Marcus and I week in and week out, which, folks, in itself is a task, is a feat, myth.
Major feat.
We got a good show planned today, folks. Best way to get hold of us anytime, of course, is our website, ushometalk.com. We've got all of our past shows. We have all of our fantastic partners. You can connect directly with myself, Marcus, Mike Overson, who I'm sure will fashionably show up late. Is that what it is? I'm fashionably late. Overson, I'm not sure about his fashion in general, but
he's got decent fashion.
Well, the only time he has decent fashion is when his wife Jen dresses him. Then it's pretty good.
Hey, that's okay.
Although I will give Overson credit for his annual Halloween costumes. He's right up there, like top 3. If it's a costume contest, it's gonna be Overson's gonna be right in there. So we've got a text line, folks. You can send your questions during the show, 612-234-7585. That is our text line during the show. Any questions related to the topic or anything and everything real estate related, buying, selling, investing in real estate, financing, refinancing, credit scores, new construction, anything and everything.
Come on, keep it rolling.
Related. Keep it going. You can also ask questions. Keep it going. You can also ask your questions in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. We're coming live via Facebook and YouTube, and then we will be on all the podcasting platforms after the fact. So Spotify, iTunes, and like 150,000 other platforms. So you will be able to find us anywhere in the galaxy. So very excited about that. Today's topic, kind of a fun one. Anti-burglary tips. So it should be good. We got some good ones here. Some of these I think are should not come to a surprise, but other ones were a little bit surprising. In the Midwest, statistically speaking, and I know this, Marcus, because originally when I went to college, when I went to NDSU, my intention was a criminal justice degree.
And that was like, what, 10 years ago? 15 years ago?
Just 10 years ago. I don't even know if I've told you this, Evan. So my original intention, criminal justice, I'm going to get into that field. I had ideas of being in the, an FBI agent, getting into law enforcement. And my first semester of my junior year, so your first couple years, it's mostly generals. I had transferred up from a school, so we had a guest speaker come into one of the sociology classes. It was an FBI agent and I think a state police officer, and they kind of just came in and said, okay, here's what to expect. Here's what to expect the first 5, 7, 10 years in this industry. And they they talked a lot about working all overnights and working weekends and all of these paperwork and downtime and and I'm just like, literally after that class I went to my guidance counselor and I said, I'm out. I'm not doing it. So switched my degree over to just a sociology general degree with psychology and philosophy emphasis. So
they didn't get into like stakeouts and
no, I didn't even get to do a ride along. Maybe if I did a ride along, nothing. But a part of that, some of those classes they talked about, statistics. So today's topic, anti-burglary tips in the Midwest. Statistically speaking, there are more burglaries in the better weathered months, and so less of that crime in the winter months,
Yeah.
more in the spring and then summer and fall. So better the weather, statistically speaking, higher chances of having a burglary on your home or a break-in or different crimes. So today's anti-burglary tips, they're coming at a time when the weather is fantastic. I think we had last couple of days mid to upper 60s. It is mid-March, but feels like beginning of May. So that's pretty cool. Again, folks, best way to get a hold of us anytime during the week is our website, ushometalk.com. Be sure to check us out. We've got all of our fantastic partners on there. Connect directly with Marcus, myself, Mike, Evan for all of your insurance needs. And then we do have a real estate hotline number during the show. You can text in questions, 612-234-7585. And then that number during the week is our 24-hour real estate hotline number. So you can connect with all of us and our partners and everything. So best number, write it down, keep it. It's going to be great for all of your real estate needs, 612-234-7585. All right, let's jump in. Number one on the list, maintain your property. And so whether the property is vacant, you've already moved, or you're living there, maintaining your property sends a message that someone's living there, and burglars in general, if there's somebody there, they're not going to go in, or if they think somebody's there, they're not going to go in. So by maintaining your property, you send that message that the home is cared for, that there's likely someone living there or there at the time, and we see this sometimes when we're doing some prospecting. We're prospecting in neighborhoods. We have a lot of investor clients of ours that are looking to buy in specific neighborhoods, and sometimes we'll drive around. And I'm looking for the yard that hasn't been mowed in a long time. I'm looking for a property that has not been maintained. That tells me that it might be vacant. Maybe that owner is already gone. Maybe it's been abandoned. So it's a good indicator for me that there's nobody there. And so for a burglar, that's also an indicator that there's nobody there. You're more likely to have that issue if the property is not maintained.
Yeah, I think one thing I know you said earlier, Jason, about how the nicer weather months, kind of have a uptick in criminal activity when it comes to burglarizing. But with this topic, I mean, in terms of maintaining a property, you get a nice 4, 5, 6 inch snow, and it's very obvious if anybody's been to that property. Are there any car tracks? Anybody walking? Foot tracks? Any kind of foot traffic? So, that'd be another reason why, if you are maybe like a snowbird, make sure you have somebody who's on top of snow removal, get that cleared away, and it's going to look like everybody else's house in the neighborhood that you're there. And if you're not welcome, don't come by.
That's right. Next on our list, know your neighbors. I feel like in today's world, especially since COVID, that there's a lot of folks that really don't know their neighbors. It's a great practice. We had we know the majority of our neighbors, and in fact, I had just one of my neighbors a couple weeks ago. They were heading out of town. This might have been 3 or more weeks ago, because I think there might have been a little bit of snow coming. And she just sent me a text. She's like, "Hey, Jason, we're gonna be gone for the next 3-4 days. Just want to give you a heads up." And it's just a great practice, right? If you're going to be out of town, if you know your neighbors know you're not home, and all of a sudden there's activity going on in the house, that they're gonna help you out, right? They're gonna call who they need to and let you know. And if you don't have those relationships with your neighbors, then you don't have that extra set of eyes, looking out for you when you're not home. So get to know your neighbors. It's you might not only make some great friendships, but you've got a second or third or fourth set of eyes. Keep an eye on your place when you're not there.
And a lot of things, little things can happen when you're gone. I mean, I kind of think of a time when a couple winters ago, I was walking my dog for a little walk in the morning and came across a neighbor's. This neighbor wasn't close to mine; it was about 2 blocks away, but it was in the neighborhood, and was going by and saw that their sprinkler system, was it the vacuum valve on the exterior unit, and had broke because we had a really hard freeze. I think it was unexpected, or maybe it was a little early. I can't quite remember the details on it, but it was literally spraying water all away from the house, and you had the whole half of that whole section of the house was frozen because the water was spraying on the house and was freezing up, and then all the grass was frozen. And I went to a next door neighbor and was just knocked on the door and said, "Hey, do you guys know these people? Because they got a leak and they obviously don't know about it." And sure enough, they did know them and gave them a call. They were out of town for like a week visiting friends and family, and they were able to get people in there and get it taken care of and to get it fixed. So
it's good. And it's just good to have, folks, especially if you're in a neighborhood. And that's one of the benefits of, having neighbors is you guys can all look out for each other and keep an eye on stuff. Next one we're going to talk about is access your home's vulnerability. And so this is, I smile because we have a lot of kids, right? And so I'm constantly like checking the doors downstairs, the patio walkout. I swear they never lock it, and so it's just left unlocked. And so, not every, but nearly every night I'm checking all these doors, right? Are the doors locked? Is this locked?
not every night.
No, sometimes. I'll give you another example of when I didn't check it. So, but check, if you're looking at your house, take a walk around your house and look at places that someone may be able to access your home. Check the windows. Are the windows locked? Are they latched?
Basement windows, easy to get into, ground level, egress windows. Yeah.
All and so when we just forget sometimes we open the window, let some fresh air in, we forget to latch it, right? And so be aware of your home's vulnerabilities, access points. So this is like last week, Marcus, right? So when I say almost do this every night, clearly I don't do it every night. So, before I go to bed, check all the locks, and I lock the door to the garage. I almost always open the door into the garage just to look to make sure the big garage doors are closed. Well, when I'd gotten home, my dog, I'm going to blame it on the dog, even though it's entirely my fault. It's my fault. So I get home and I'm going in the house and I click the garage door and the garage door is closing. Well, what I didn't realize is my dog stuck her head by the laser thing.
Oh yeah.
And then the
like you saw it coming down. You're like, it's coming down.
It's coming down. So I didn't see it go back up, but it went back up. So I wake up the next morning. I did lock the door going from the house in the garage, but I didn't open the door and look like I do 999 out of 1,000 times. But I didn't for whatever reason. So I wake up the next morning, it's like 4:30. I look at my phone and got a text message from my neighbor, and he's like, Nick, and he's like, "Hey Jason, I'm sure you're already sleeping." He knows me. But just getting home from something, hockey practice or something, I noticed that your garage door is open. And which I replied, I said, "Hey Nick, I appreciate it." Went downstairs and closed the door. But that's just a neighbor looking out for me, right? I mean, he drove by. He knows we never leave the garage doors open at night. And so if it's 11:30 at night and the garage door's open, well, that's unusual. So he sent the message, and very thoughtful of him. But sometimes you got to just take those extra steps to make sure things are closed and secured, and that you and your family and your stuff are protected.
Yeah, my kids are little enough to where they still quite haven't embraced the wanting to play with the windows, the casement windows, and cranking them open and that. So that really hasn't got on top of my checklist. But I do when the kids go to bed, I do a whole house check, and then when I go to bed, which I'm my wife and I usually obviously are going to be the last ones, I do it again. I do again and give it another round and even pull the door, pull the doors and make sure everything is, because you never know when maybe a lock isn't working properly. And because I mean we show houses all the time, Jason, where you flip the lock switch and as a realtor you want to make sure the house is locked, and you give it a little tug and you're like, okay, that opened up. I mean I hit the lock switch,
Yep.
but it's not locking. So I mean I kind of check that stuff too. And now, Jason, you got a heated garage, so you must have been warming up the neighborhood there a little bit that night.
For whatever reason, well, I know I didn't have the heat on that night because the kids were in and out of the garage during the day. Actually, we haven't had to have the garage heater on much at all.
Yeah, you dodged a bullet.
I mean, it's been pretty nice. So I didn't heat the neighborhood for 4.5 hours, which was good.
What, were you born in a barn?
Yeah, it sounds like Dad right there. I've heard that plenty of times. Folks, talking about anti-burglary tips. Best way to get a hold of us during the week is our website, ushometalk.com. We've got a real estate hotline number. During the show, you can text in your questions, 612-234-7585. That number is also a 24-hour real estate hotline, so you can call it anytime during the week to get a hold of us and all of our fantastic partners. Be sure to check out our website, though, ushometalk.com. All of our past shows are on there. We've got wonderful resources, information about buying, selling, investing in real estate, questions about financing, refinancing, new construction, commercial real estate, insurance, and you can connect directly with all of our partners. What's going on here? Oh,
we lose you. I still got you.
You still got me? Something popped up.
You're still here.
All right, I'm still here. All right, let's take a look at next on our list. Respect the power of lighting.
Yeah.
Respect the power of lighting. What are we talking about? Exterior lighting. I always keep the front. We kind of have a front porch on our house. I keep those 3 can lights on every night. Those are on all the time at night. There's some wonderful landscaping lighting that folks have, up lights onto trees and onto the house. I mean, the more lighting that's on and that you have it sends a pretty clear message that there's somebody probably home, right? We've worked with a lot of property sellers over the years where the homes are vacant, whether it's new construction, maybe it's a model home or a renovated home, and they put a lot of their lighting on the inside of the house on timers, and so maybe the living room light is on for 3-4 hours at night, and then another light goes on, and so the
kind of making it look, you're going from one room to the next,
exactly,
instead of just one on set. For,
yes.
2 weeks in a row, the same room is on.
2 weeks in a row from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. Same kitchen light on. That one you can probably figure out, but you can switch timers to have it go on in different rooms. It's helpful. Again, if someone thinks that there's somebody home or there's someone there, much more less likely to try to burglarize your home. So utilize the power of lighting. In today's world, I mean, the technology is so great. You've got timers, you got apps, you got all these different things going on, all these different options. So utilize lighting technology, and this will help with deterring this. So
yeah, we kind of talked about those smart homes earlier in the year. Having apps that have access to the controls of all the lights, the heating, HVAC systems. Also, can give you some heads up in terms of garage doors. Homes, even pre-existing homes that have been retrofitted to become smart homes. So you don't have to have new construction to have some of these features.
Yeah, and I mean you can set those. I mean you can set timers to have your TV go on.
Yeah.
For 3-4 hours a night. If you're going to be out of town, maybe you're going to be on vacation or whatever the case is. Again, talk to your neighbors, let them know you're going to be gone. But use that technology. Maybe you got the TV going on for a few hours at night in the living room, and you got some lights going on and off. And technology and lighting can go a long way in helping preventing this.
And if you're talking about cost, right? I mean, I think that's always kind of like back in the day. The baby boomers and older, that generation, it's hey, turn the lights off. That costs money. It's like, well, a lot of the TVs, appliances, lights, they are energy efficient. Where you could leave them on until they go dead, in a handful of years, and you're talking about spending a couple bucks.
Right.
So it's something where it's like, okay, well, you want to spend 1 cent a night on that light bulb to save, reducing your chance of getting burglarized. I think that's a
Yep.
good return on investment.
That's what they call a no-brainer, Marcus. No-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Lock the doors. I know.
Yep.
I know it seems simple, but lock the doors. And it's I mean, we're pretty good about it. I mean, I'm even
We
during
grew
the
up
day
with locked
sometime.
doors.
Oh, I feel like I feel like I remember that we did not, but as mom and dad, I mean, in the definitely last 25 years, I feel like mom and dad lock their doors all the time.
Yep.
I don't remember the doors being locked as kids, but we lived out in the country in a small town, and I mean, it's different. It's different for sure than if you're in
Yep.
town.
I definitely remember, there's a little age gap between you and I, but I definitely remember doors being locked. Doors being
Yeah.
locked. You know,
They probably
I think
that's because
that
they were locking me out. That's what I was like,
hey,
not letting Jason back in.
if the front door is locked,
They didn't
then
have,
if
they didn't
somebody
have,
snuck out and somebody,
they didn't have anybody to lock out when because I was the oldest. So then they're like, we're not gonna let him back in. Let's lock it. All right. So what else we got here? Reinforce your locks. I think I've got my garage service door's got a reinforced lock on it. I'm laughing because when the kids were littler, we had like the additional lock on the upper part of the door, like a reinforced sliding kind of bolt lock. But that wasn't for burglary prevention. It was to keep the kids from escaping. But I mean, there's some great reinforcing. There's some new technology. There's some. I like the digital locks. I like the locks that that are smart locks where you can see on your phone on the app if the door is unlocked or locked, and you can actually remotely do it. So there's some pretty great things out there. Home security system, right? I mean, I think that they've been around a long time, but definitely I feel like in the last 4 or 5 years, the technology has really advanced to a point where it's almost entirely wireless now. So
yeah,
Liz and we built our house about 10 years ago, and at that time, we had to run wiring to all the doors and windows that we wanted to have a security system. I think that there was some wireless stuff that was just coming out on the market 10 years ago, but definitely in the last 5 years, I mean, you don't have to worry about it being intrusive and drilling holes in the walls and and fishing wire through the different floors. Most of it is wireless now, and it's really good technology. Along with the security system comes the home, the sign that goes by the front door. This
that in
home is
itself it probably has the most value, right?
it absolutely does. It absolutely does. I've read research on that as well. It's like 80 or 85% of the value or the effectiveness rather comes from that little sign that's by the front door. With an alarm system or a security system, it's got if someone enters the home that's not supposed to be there, I mean, when those things go off, they are loud. Those sirens they are deafening loud, and so it's something that most of the time they're hooked up where they automatically contact the authorities, and that's already done in place. And but your neighbors are going to hear it. I mean, it's loud, and it also it all the bad guys are going to go. They're not going to stay in a house where the sirens are blaring, the noise is going, and lights are going everywhere. They're going to want to take off. So I think there's some really great security systems out there, and they're pretty affordable. I mean, you're talking 20, 30, $40 a month, depending on the features that you want, the plans that you want. But something else to consider and look into. Do you guys have one, Marcus?
I'm not going to disclose that information. I am the security system in my house. I think they're great, most definitely great. There's a lot of really neat features that you can do in terms of just making your house into a smart home. That the front doorbell having these high def 1080p cameras on them. Some I think are even getting to like 4K cameras. And so that there's that. So
Yeah, we have a really high tech security system. It has a shock and laser protective devices.
yeah, right.
And so if you try to enter the house and you're not authorized, I mean, we've got like retinal technology it'll zap you. You're out cold. Automated. The police will be there in 3 minutes. So
knock you out, zap you, or
oh yeah, you're out cold.
6 feet under, zap you.
No, it won't kill you. It's not a fatal. We want you to have your day in court and and go through the process and but I would not recommend coming over.
Don't do it.
The funny thing is we have a security system. It doesn't get turned on all the time. Because the kids are just in and out of the house all the time, in and out of the house.
Pets,
and so, and we have a ferocious guard dog.
Yes.
So that's probably the biggest thing to look out for.
I don't know if it's on your list, but we were kind of joking about that earlier in the show, and I think that's if it isn't, if it is, I apologize.
It should
but
be. No, it's
not. Protective dogs. I mean, they're without any doubt. If you have some of those German breeds, Rottweiler, German Shepherd, Doberman, they're going to work pretty well too. I don't think anybody wants to have a run-in with any of those type of breeds, and
nope.
and those dogs are loyal to the death. To their owners and will protect homes quite well. So
yeah, I agree. I think dogs can be, or there's some ferocious cats out there, folks. I mean, I've seen some cats.
I tell you what, true. Yeah.
Speaking of cats, there is up in I think it's by Duluth, maybe not one of the either northern suburbs of the cities or Duluth. This is a photo that was just taken yesterday. A tiger is like walking around like a full size. They don't know if it got out of a zoo or if it's someone's pet that escaped, or so. Watch out for the tigers.
Hey, that's next level, right?
That's next level. All right,
I think you're running the risk of getting eaten yourself.
Yeah, you get eaten by your anti-theft device.
But since you haven't talked about those feisty cats, if you're looking to sell your home and you do have some protective pets, whether it is a dog or a cat, that definitely affects the showing experience. I rarely have any anxiety about going into a home that has dogs, but that sneaky little evil cat that's looking to attack your calf. I mean, those are the ones where I'm just like, oh man, I hope I don't get bit by that cat today. And you always see it in the remarks, right? Like the showing remarks. It's like, hey, cat's really friendly, but doesn't like strangers. It's like, we're all strangers showing this house. Like, what does this mean?
You're right.
Don't let him out, but don't touch him because you'll get bit.
Don't even look at him. Don't let him see you. Don't let him see you.
Dogs like to hide. Like, oh my goodness, where am I going into a horror film right now? Just wanted to show the house for Pete's sakes.
So we're talking about security systems are great. The sirens, the lights are effective when those go off. Surveillance cameras, and those have also come a long way in the last 4 or 5 years. Ring doorbells. You've got all of this wireless technology with surveillance cameras that keep an eye on your backyard and your side yard and your driveway. And, so many folks utilize, the different delivery services like Amazon. And so people want to keep an eye on who's coming to the house and who's coming to the front door. So, those different cameras are pretty fantastic. And then the last thing to talk about is, and man, I haven't done this myself and I think about it often, but I need to do it. Mark your valuables and record the details, right? And it's just, I had a client, this was a number of years ago. They had a fire in their house, total loss. They lost everything. And they were the most stressful part about the fire. Nobody got hurt. So
Thank
that
God, yeah.
was, thank goodness there. It wasn't rebuilding the house or having to get a new house and rebuild it. They talked about the stress that they went through to try to remember the things that they had in the house, the personal property, and then how to accurately and effectively communicate that to the insurance company. And they got, they got paid a lot in personal property. It was close to like $500,000, and they had a big house and, big
Probably at
insurance
least,
policy.
right? I mean, at least
it was
TVs are $5,000, one TV.
Yeah, and so and they talked about, the first step of it is they didn't have a record of anything, so they had to, they had to go through credit, years and years of credit card statements and
Ugh.
and trying to remember all the stuff that they had. So that was the first big huge stressor. And then the second part was, which I found was interesting, is when they had to go out and buy it all. And they talked about how burned out and stressed out they were for having to shop and buy all this stuff that they had, that they had lost in the fire. So they would have been able to eliminate a good portion of that stress if they had a record of it. And obviously don't keep the record of it in your house, right? Put it in your safety deposit box at the bank or somewhere else.
Well, kind of going to that point, I know Evan looked like Evan was going to jump in there, but this can be something as simple as grabbing your smartphone and doing a quick walkthrough of your house and just make a recording, and then it's going to save on the cloud. So even if, you got a fire and you got priorities, you got, get the family out, get the pets out. Maybe that's the best you can do. The rest is gone. Phone's gone, but don't worry, because that video that you kind of quick did, a 4 or 5 minute video walking through the house, just scanning a room, then you can at least have a reference to it. And
helps remember.
And it's up in the cloud, whatever backs your phone up, Verizon or Google or Apple or whatever it might be.
Folks, we appreciate you tuning in today. Jason Walgrave here with the Walgrave Real Estate Group and the Minnesota Real Estate Team. Oh, you got
I do. A couple things, Jason, what we've seen down here trending in the Sioux Empire is some people aren't putting steps on their decks, because they're like, hey,
sure.
Especially with like walkout homes. Mm-hmm. They're seeing it where like we already have access to the backyard through the basement patio. So we're going to have the deck without steps, kind of reduces that one more access to the home, like you said earlier in the show. And then the other thing I think is really important for everybody to understand is, understand your state's laws. A lot of states have stand your ground laws. I think there's 38 in the nation, South Dakota being one of them. And so you definitely want to understand, the laws that your state have to help private property owners.
Yeah, it's a good point. Great point, Marcus. Folks, we appreciate you tuning in today. Jason Walgrave here. Marcus Walgrave. We've got Evan Little in the background. He is our great producer making it happen. Overson apparently was off today.
2 weeks in a row.
We're going to give him a hard time.
2 weeks in a row.
Next week, folks, I think Mike is hosting. Evan is going to be out of town, so I'm going to be producing or attempting to produce. Have patience with me. Just start your patience with me today, and then by next week we'll be good to go. Again, this has been US Home Talk. Best way to get a hold of us anytime, folks, is our website, ushometalk.com. We do appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week.